So I know how salty you guys get if I don't produce something. So I better produce. Better be a producer. All right, so I'm producing now. This is uh, parking spot 7-5. I'll give you another shot of that after we work through the screen, perhaps. This is where my again butterfly. So butterfly is a roof design. I know I'm going over it again. A roof design that allows the water to go to the center of the butterfly wings, if you will, and then the water runs off, so it looks like that. So I call this a butterfly puncture, my own coined terms belonging to, I don't know if it's anywhere else, I don't think it's anywhere else. What's important here is that we have the planter box here. Look over to your mouse to your left here. There is a planter box. This is K, that's L, that's M. So between K and L is a planter box right here. This planter box is right here. Here's the wall. This wall here is in this drawing right here. It goes straight across, approximately 10 feet to the face. So this is 10 feet to the face. This box is there. It looks like the back of the box is about 3 foot thick, and then 7-foot porch. So we're looking at the planter box with the shrubbery in it. Go to the right of the planter box here, and you come forward, and you run into, well, look over here to the right. So this is K. That's the planter box, right? 3 foot of it. There's a step up of 1 foot elevation. There to the right of it is another box. See the square box? There's another box. I believe that's the box right here. So it's next to our L BMA right here. I'm referring to him as BMA. If anybody gets upset about that, get off this channel and please go somewhere else. I don't have time for it. I've got thousands of hours in this, and I don't have time for you not liking my things like butterfly. Why don't you call me out on the butterfly thing? Leave me alone. All right. So between on this K, L, and M columns, right, there is the BMA, and then it's also connected this way. Part of that's this direction. This is that column, and there's the 3 foot and the elevation change, 7-foot deck. So we're looking at the planter box, but what we don't see is the BMA. The BMA got ripped from this and went down below the deck. It's a planter box is is across the BMA. So this is the BMA section of it. There's a section of it. It's across, and then it turns and goes the other direction. As this is the path, you see the line, right? It goes straight across. There is the box. So right about here is the corner of that box where it turns and goes with 7 feet. They've reconfigured this box over time, but this is the latest rendering from the engineer's report. You can see there's no crack there, so that BMA, when this went down, had no problem separating itself from the column and dropping down. Had no problems with it. And over to your right here is this guy here, which happens to be right next to a BMA, right next to the other part of it. So this one went down, and if this one went down only, it would be rocking on an angle, right? This would stay up. This would be on an angle. This presents as flat. So presenting as flat, that means this one went down also, at least severing from here. They appear to almost be on the same plane, a little bit of rotation on this one. A little bit of rotation on this one, so perhaps this one is the one that went down, and when it went down, it pulled this to a degree to hit a car at parking places below there, I believe. So it rotated from here downwards, and then you see it, not much, but you see we're right on the edge of L, right here. Right on the very edge of the L line of the BMA. Now, let's see if I can get you. Now that I've got you that, let's see if I can get you a different view of it. So again, here is, so I can't adjust the colors out of this, but there's the K, L, and M, the planter box. Sorry, that would be 7 foot and then 3 foot. and then planter box. They did a lower and upper planter box. Remember where I doing the video right here where they show this. See, the upper planter box is here. That's the 2'9" elevation. That 2'9" elevation is equal to the planter box, I believe, in the image. So now, let's go to the next image to see what we have here. So here's your, well, I'm not going to go down that line. Not at this time. Let me go the other direction for you. Many of the existing pavers on the pool deck are cracked. This, it was disregarded. This would have been said so much about what the deck was doing. If this engineer only knew that cracks mean something, they're not just random, they're not temperature related, ambient temperature related. These are kiln dried materials that have that the little 90 degree, 80 degree, 100 degree variance is not going to do it. It's not going to do anything with it. It's very stable. Very stable, unless of course they made in Mexico and air dried them. I think I talked about that. Some places do air dry pavers, in which case this would be a different temperature and it could crack. But I don't think that's it. I don't have any data to support that because I don't know the damn tile. But I know I see the tile popped off and laying over here. So obviously it's a strong tile. It was bonded. If you remember the contract, he talked so much about, no waterproofing, but yet waterproofing took place. You remember the sample, they drilled through the sample. This is a coupling here and here. Oh, there it says right there, coupler. After you cut the steel out, you find some good steel. Use a coupler there and you coupler here. And you screw them both together. You can see this would be a coupling issue because you'd have to rotate on the two different angles, two sides. That coupler would have a little bit of a different issue. Oh, I'm just kidding. There's a coupler, very expensive. It would bolt. It would slide on there, and you could screw one on, and then this one would slide on and a bolt. And they're expensive as hell. This is the engineer that, the township's representative, 2019 to 2021, was still there. Apparently did 8, and I've heard that he's since moved on. Now, there's the column I said I'd bring you to, 75. This is the other column. So you're looking at, moving this over, this is 75, right here, 75. No, hold on, let me confirm. Yes, 75 is here, and this other one lines up with the outside of the structure. This lines up with the car, and there it is, parking space 75, and there's the other piece of the punctured material there. There is the planter box, thereabouts level, so now we have something to look at. So you can see, okay, it all draped down pretty good, evenly. There is some fractured planter box here as it was over top of that. So some of that fracturing could have caused some of this deterioration here. The rabbit ears, we'll talk about these rabbit ears another time. Let's get away from that. Oh, wait a minute, I go down. So I pull in closer. I did another screenshot for you. And this gets you more debris. This is where the BMA was. The BMA, remember that going back to the building, there's the flower pots here. It ripped down, it ripped out of its position and went down with the deck, down below the deck. There are the columns, standing proud and strong. Proud and strong. So the BMA severed from here and went down. There's another angle of it. So that would be the planter box, original planter box, different renderings. I don't know if that was done or not, that version of it. But going back to this image, we see again planter box. We see the rotation of this planter box. That is right across, right next to our L column. Here's our K right here, following in line is our K. So M is just about there. Okay, So there's M, and oh, here's our M. Here's our M. I remember they marked, the firemen marked it on the back wall. So there's the drain, I believe. So I think this is our M column, 46. Okay, I think it's 46. So there's our M column here. It's okay. We're just triangulating the data we can get. And what we learn is this box, it's slightly pushed in. It's going to be very critical in the data I'm going to present with you, because I'm stating when the deck failed that it had a tugging action, and I did the reverse flip. This is bias now, bias on my part. This deck obviously didn't, the building didn't collapse, and then this part of the deck then pushed itself through that debris. If we follow the angle in this capacity, let's see if I can do a right over this, and I'll change it. So if we follow the angle, and this is bias now, guys. So you got to take what I'm doing now as a confirmation bias at this point. But I'm trying to present the bias data with you, so you can make your own. You know, don't let me lead you down the wrong path. Make your own decision. So I'm going to go right on the edge of the box, and there we go. And then, yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Okay, outside edge. So I'm going to go outside edge. Yep, good. I'm going to swing this one around. And remember, the camera changes it. The camera has some distortion, but that's showing that this, I'm going to take an exaggeration now. Let's slide this back. Let's make the pivot point back to here. And now what I'm showing is that the exaggeration is that I'm pointing back towards the pile. So to do that, if this is that one, right? So I'll stop it there. And if this is, let's parallel this one a bit. So this would be KLM, LM. So let's parallel that a bit. So let me grab this. How do I parallel it? It's going to be, I'm trying to think what I can use to parallel. Great, didn't mean that one. Bit times 2. So there's the planar box. Remember, it's next to the planar box. So I'm using this as my column line here of L, K, L, K, L, K, L, K, L, K, L, M. So this would be L, and if I make these intersect a bit, we can see that this is probably pushing inwards. So we have an inward push there, because the planar box, again, it is not, let me just look at that again and show it to you. It represents as leaning inward. Now, could I get there another way? If the deck is leaning back, it could have fallen back. So the deck leaned back first is what I'm driving at. Could I get there another way again? Could I get the deck, the secondary, the collapse of the structure, fracturing it, bringing back compression to cars more? Yeah, I think so, but would I get that rotation back into here? This rotation, this rotation here of this from here to here. Would I get that is the question. So I'm being biased now. Would I get that? How else can I get it is what I ask. But so now I'm presenting you with the boxes, right? So now you're presented with these boxes. So let's get rid of this so I don't have it corrupted screenshot, because this data still got to be processed in my coconut. All right, so then that would be no. So don't save. And so we're looking at it here. So here's our, can we get another one? Nope. Looks like I get the one. And so there's our path. This appears to be rotating in. So what I'm driving at was when the drape took place going this way, this is okay, this is the L, and there's the M. The flipping over pulled that plane, this direction, pulled it inwards. And when it pulled it inwards, it crippled the building. But I'm at M where it cripples it, pulls it, tugs it over, and this gets our rotation here. This obviously drops down, falls free, but we still get a rotation back. It's still connected, and that will be connected. Hopefully it gives me the right thing right. So it's still connected. So this one breaks free, falls down. This is our L line. See L? So here's our L line. Here's a flower pot, about right next to it. Yeah, somewhere about here. But we see this one's somewhere about here. And so we still come down M because the video supports M and N. But as this pulls, it tugs, it goes inbound, it rotates in this direction, right? So screenshot. So this one I can work on, right? So then I go, yeah. So let's get the flower. Okay, there's our flower box. So here's our flower box. Let me do down to here, and let me do down to here. So let's have some of these are connected here. As this drape pushes on M, causing it to fail, first the drape pulls this direction, and that gets a separation of the internal deck that falls down. And then at hang times, it flips. And when it flips, it now pulls this out. Nothing for free. It pulls this out. Just enough that you can figure out how much by lining your box, your flower box. So, yeah, now you don't give me a straight line? Dude, come on. So we can figure out how much, really, 2 for 2? Let's just do a straight line this way. So we can figure out how much it pulled by before the structure collapsed by the flower box, the planter box. And I'm going to go about only a little bit. But let's extend that out. So the flower box, right? Maybe I'm being too liberal there, a little too much. About that much. Let's put this back over here. That would be this beam here. So this goes down. This is squashed. I mean, it's removed because it severs here. So that severs. It allows us to drop down. So that that goes down with the deck. Right. So that's a downward. This BMA right here goes down with the deck. Okay, so we'll do that. Move it over. So that's that going down. To make it go down, it did that the two-way pull. First one, so this is one. That would be this direction, and then 2 is this direction. This is number 2. Flipping over, the flipping of the pad, pulling this guy here, pulling that one over. So when the pad flipped, let's move it over. It tugged. I want to tug and pull. So I'm going to give you this section first. So I'll go maybe as far as that. So when it flips it over, it pulls it. Remember the parking garage video? So proof of concept is there. And then I have the building collapses. It fills into the lower section. This falls on top of cars, but we can see it's the plants. So the shrubberies are here. So much for my shrubbery design. The clover leaf, if you will. Shrubs are there, and we have this other box. I think it's out here. It's next to. So what's it next to? Right, it's next to, you see it right here? The box is next to that column out there. So next to the BMA, right. So it'll be over here. So here's a flower box. Flower box, right? think for whatever reason. So that rotates into that looks like a little mini 45. They're about, not a 45, it's on an angle, right? And it cracks, but it's still being held up. All right, so there's our box there about there. And I would guess it was somehow deck connected with the BMA there, this one. And so this went down also. This one's in a theoretical mode because of we can't see it. But obviously, if N is down and M is down, M goes down this valley, I got M failing altogether, but not through buckling, but rather through being shifted. So first, pull this direction to drop our pad, and then hang time, and then flip, it flips and pulls this over. And when it does that, maybe it does it right, this is the path, right? Isn't it between, so between both of them? Between L and M, L and N? Or is it? Okay, yeah. Let's look at the file. Try to move it, hold on. All right, so then we go out here. It's between L and M. L and M is the driveway. So right between these two right here. So L and M, they're between the driveway, let me see. It's more over here. So as the hang time happens, remember how it's pivoting over and then pulling on this one? Well, I'm going to give you more details about, we'll go more into the tributary areas and the critical shear areas, and how I'm going to have possibly even holding more here and just flipping over. I don't care how we get there. I'd like to, work it out through the idea behind why it would choose to work on why when it pulled, why it would choose to pick that. Now I'd have to know the reinforcement, but let's go with so it's between here is our collapse zone, and so KLM, and this is N. This is our collapse zone rather. It would be more like, it's more like this, right? It's more like that. Let's give it a different color. So that's more of our collapsed area, our zone where everything comes down. So I need this to get this one to fail. To get this one to fail, it pulls over on in also. So it keeps coming back to M. So I get the hang time on M. I get this to move out a little bit, just to get that flower pot, in other words, is showing direction. It moves, showing the entire deck moving. That one flower pot is showing how the deck moves. Translating its angle, I come across M. Come across here too, just a slight bit off. See how I come a slight bit off? But pushing that in, by default, will pull on in also. Or sever it right here, which would make it then hang time of the decking inside, internal decking, which would then pull on it. So, pull on the internal decking on the lobby side. So then would pull on it. So it's not for free that I get to just sever the deck here. This then flaps over. Remember, it's 20 feet, hits, and it could have hang time and start pulling on M and crippling it the same way it crippled this one. This one now could sever free, flip down with the rebar, mind you, if it's a joint, considering it's a joint there. Could bang to the floor and then pull on in. So you can get both of these working with their own little flip time. This could have its flip time, and this could have its flip time. I believe the first flip time, though, would definitely be on their M. Hang time, where it's, like that, 20 feet. And then it bangs, possibly fractures and falls down, which I could do a 90. And then it flips over on top of it. Boom. Or flips back. But nevertheless, it pulls away from this. We see that the BMAs are not that much in golf. We're talking that it appears that you got to think about it. Those BMAs are only 16s. Are they 16s? So it's only going to have so much steel in it to be able to engulf it turned on an angle. the heads of them. It's only going to have so much in it. It's also taking a load of the deck. Those same steel, they put limited heads on them. So and if you can only get it, we'd have to be able to get it back into that steel, and obviously that didn't work. The steel was anyway, it is what it is. So look, back to the angled flower pot. If I continue that angled flower pot down here and continue the back side of the angled flower pot, transposing it to the back of the beam here. Of course, the flower pot's out here, but all the pot moving with the deck, I have it give me an axis right about there. Bias, if I could change it, could I change it way here? Wow, that would be a huge push at this point. Our pot doesn't push that far away, so no, I can't do that. So I can come back to this point, parallel it. Let's put that back on the column. And I don't, they're not parallel, right? So let's parallel them, and when I parallel it, I get this much movement. Ooh, it jumped to the other one, huh? I get that much movement. Doing so, I'm pulling on in, KLM in. I'm pulling it inwards. I'm also pulling on before the building starts collapsing. The building collapse, it stops all of the rest of the tugging. So we see the flower pot here. That means that this is pretty much probably just dropped down, filled in its place. So there's our flower pot. This is the significance of the flower pot. Planter box. Sorry for you sensitive folks. The significance of that planter box not being square can signal signal the direction of this decking of what's going on. And to get it to push inwards, I have that dropping of the slab and doing that. And I did look at the front of the building, so I do consider that if this was number one first, that the front of the building where she filmed it, it would show that header, the portal area, bowed out towards us. It shows no indication at all of any cracks or any point that it first took a forward bump and then a retraction, if you will, return, and dropping down, an elastic return. It shows no indication of that in that video. That video shows there's no cracks in that portal area. And the portal area is where the cars, where we look down the driveway like this. And so the portal area would be this area here. It shows no cracks, no movement, nothing there. It shows as pretty good to go. It's got a gate on it also. It doesn't show any you'll find no data there. It says it took a bump forward first. So to get that pad that we see at the bottom of the driveway, at the bottom of the driveway, to get that pad to fall off, we need first number one of pulling away. That allows that pad to drop, and then, of course, if that pad drops, as I told you, it's 20 feet, thereabouts, I'm guessing, and we only got 13.4, so we're going to get an initial impact, secondary impact, and it looks like another pad's on top of it. If you look in there, it looks like a pad's on top of it, and then what you guys call the washer machine. But it looks like another pad, and that would be this one folding over, I believe. And that's before that is before the building fails. So profile, like something like that, maybe. Tearing away, but remember it had hang time, I believe, up here on this one, and then rotation. Hell, they can both flip over and rotate, and then it happens to just break free of M with not much of movement forward, of L, not much forward movement away from the structure when it flipped over, and that's because of this. It's a nice square box. It doesn't look like it was dragged across the deck, you know. It is in my flip zone, this rotation, this moving of the box. That is in my L and M zone, so, you know, that flipping could have pulled this one over and pulled this one also, and this is the first one that decided to say goodbye, though. I'll put the hang time over there to give it the extra stress and to cause it to fail first. Um, I did that because, again, the video is pointing that direction. I won't say bias. The video does point that direction. It's down this alley. The materials show it's down this alley as I'm referencing it. And the alley would be on this side of the box. See? This side of the box. That was collapse coming this way. So the alley at first was this direction. And then that's the angle that the structure collapsed under. So hopefully this was somewhat enlightening for you, that how the box can tell us, can direct us back to this, biasly so. I keep coming back with the same data, triangulating it back to the same data. Remember, confirmation bias is an issue. I even try to find if I could find more details on the BMA on everything from deck thickness out here to what they call beam type A to see if they would match up. Could not get the triangulation on that. So I couldn't do that. Now remember, we have core sample now that he said he put the deck back normal after a core sample. Well, it's like having 3 floor joists and I cut the middle one all the way out. I don't know how he thinks he put it back. He shows he used a coupler, but he doesn't show how that was put back. We don't see that. That would have been a major putback. You're going to have to use some supports and everything else after cutting a piece of rebar out of this. If the spans are, let's say he did his sample he says right about here. Well, and there are 12 number 4s between the two. Well, you just made it 11 number 4s. You just dissected a section. Well, you made sort of like a new tributary area issue around there. Could you say that was, could the core sample contribute it to that direction? I didn't see the damn core sample where it was actually drilled. He just states by an arrow where he drilled, but that damn core sample is murder. It shows that he cut a. I don't get where the I'm going to save that. I don't get where he shows the stirrup. Where he shows in his stirrups, where he cuts that damn core sample. He myrtleizes it. 3 students myrtleize. He myrtleized that deck with the core sample. You think he would have had to do more? So be more responsible, if you will, with how he was going to do it. And I think that's the contract. Is that the contractor I'm talking about? So look, this was full deck. Deck repair. Interesting. He has these notes again, 8, 9, and whatever. And yeah, that isn't his got very limited engulfing in there. Yet no testing of the concrete was done to determine why he chose that depth. It just appears like he just chose the depth. Normally you do a pull-out test and that will determine your depth. But he's just got assumptions. And I think he knew that this was going to go to a full deck repair, that ultimately this whole thing was coming off. I think down to the columns. That would have been a very scary job, but yeah. So remember, he talked bad about, in his report, he talked bad about the original designer not putting in the waterproofing. I don't see it here, but I said, why don't you just run back against and blame the tile guy now? Well, there it is again. There's the 1/8 inch thick waterproofing. So why is he reaching back there? What's his interest in protecting the tile guy or this tile installation? I don't get it, because that would be your first line of defense now. It's waterproofing. Also, I definitely don't get his core sample being calling it a core sample, and he shows an 8-inch sample, a core sample, and he says it's 8 inches of a topping. So I'm like, you didn't get to the structural part. Why are you calling that the core sample? You're still at the topping. So I find that very, very, very deceptive with calling it, with talking about core samples, identifying it as topping, and then stating how thick the structural deck is without showing that structural deck as the real core sample. You just show the topping material, which is stated to be, if I recall right, 8 inches. Now that material, 1 square foot of concrete weighs 150 pounds. I don't know what his topping weighs, but let's say it's pretty close to, say, 140 pounds. You know, I don't know what the stone. Let's call it 140 pounds. Remember, this deck was originally designed to take 40 pounds per square foot live load. Now you just added a dead load to it of, you know, call it 100 pounds, call it 80 pounds. You can call it 60 pounds if you want, an 8-inch thick, some super lightweight material. I don't know. I'm just trying to stretch for you. But you're still over what the deck had a capacity for, and yet he was respecking putting it back onto this, the thick layers. I'm like, wait a minute, but the deck was only originally designed for X. Why are we adding all this extra dead load? What's the value of adding the extra dead load? For the life of me, I don't get it. And there's a lot more materials that are much more serviceable, a wear layer, that are much lighter. There are some super heavy duty vinyls that have a good texture to them that you won't slip on. Yes, you're gonna have to, wash them. Something King something used to make them. It's beautiful. I mean, it's really nice stuff. It's very lightweight. It's for porches, etc. There are a lot of ways to skin that cat, as this old engineer once taught me. Now, you talk about water penetration causing the issues. Well, neither one of these are representing as water penetration and swelling of the materials. Neither one, not this one nor that one. I don't see rusting, scaling. Looks like I see some paste. Remember, they probably used a wet saw, so some of this is just the paste from the wet saw as it ground through the materials. This is what I find so disturbing. I don't know of a chair like this. I really don't. I really try to think of a chair, use all my reference in my little brain. And I've seen, multiple layers, but there's no other layer here. So this would be what? Pushed into the plywood while they formed it up, and then he happened to find it when he drilled this. This core sample just smells to me like it came somewhere else that other than the spot position that it shows. It's just crazy though. But this core sample also has a red tile on it though, on top of it. So it's just inexplicable at this time. But my brain's working on it. It's going to come up with it. It will figure out where that damn piece of metal belongs. Now, I want to bring you to this before, as I wrap out the video, is that, these are, normally you would have stirrups. This is the BMA design, I believe, and this could be the end of the one of the side profiles of it. Let's see if I can get you. So it could be, a cutaway, and we're looking at it like this. And that crack could be here in the middle, let's say, that we're observing. And he's just showing how it comes up and wings left and right. So it wings left and right at a level deck. This deck would then have to go off, the deck itself would have to be underneath the flower pots, go all the way over, and then another deck of 1 foot height would have to be there. But from the parking garage side, we could see that there's a step up here. So that wing-shaped BMA damage, I have it as out here. So I've now triangulated that wing shape, but again, because the elevation change can show from the lady walking in the garage. You can look there and see the elevation change of approximately 1 foot. Here and here is 11 inches. So on this side, though, so I have that would be the level deck. I would have that BMA is maybe not this one and not this one, but now I'm triangulating it to be inside here inside here or inside here. Let's look at that thing. I'm gonna make sure my memory works here. Let's get rid of some things. Nope, need that. All right, that's good enough. All right, so there is the head of it, if you will, the top of it. It turns, and this would be the full thickness brake, the deck. I'm going to do a real model for you and show you how you can get this. This full opening means this is pulled apart. For me to say it was that one here, I'm now implying that the deck is pulling apart, sagging on this side, and somehow in the middle here to get this. So this would superimpose here to get this to now represent a crack on this side, or on this side, or on this side. So I can, moving this around, I can't really put it up here because that's just like a step up. And this doesn't represent a step up. This represents as that. It represents as what you see it as. And this is a structural crack repair epoxy ejection. It's the only place I can find a beam type setup right here. It's the only place on this deck. I mean, it's over here. There's some over here, but he took the sample here. So I'm going to lean towards this one or this one of these two little ladies here. We don't know. He didn't put the photographs. He just, how are you going to bid on something? It says RNS2, and you go find it. You try to find that correlation here, and I can't find it to match up to say, here is RNS, CRNS 2.20. I think it's 2.3 if they have a little symbol here. I'm like, really? So I was dealing with the deck, I believe. And so this one is not specific. It's not showing. So I had an engineer call me from Florida. He informed me that, you know what, it's quite often that the engineers down there do stuff like this so they can make confusingly high bids. I want to do this now. Take note of the configuration of the BMAs, the columns. Rectangular this way, rectangular this way. Oh, look at this one. It's rectangular turn the other direction. Rectangular turn the other direction. So this is a very interesting deal. And it's offset by, wow, forget the offset. Damn it, it was in the other one. It's also offset. So we're back to that damn offset stuff where I'm triggered by offsets when it comes down to transferring loads. Offsets create a cantilever effect, and you got to capture it from a cantilever. I don't find this to be I don't find this to be pleasant as far as its load path. This is where the cracking showed up. We also have this turn rectangular column here. So again, I'm going to reach over and we had supports and all that. But let's get back to this. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a model, concrete model. I'm going to route some steel in there. I'm going to separate. I'm going to show you how this is probably pulling aside, pulling. Now it's bound inside the walls here. The bathtub is, as it's known, right? So it's bound inside the wall. So the only way to do that is you have to get some sagging going on. Sagging would be representing those tiles too. So sagging would be, let's bring that up. So let's just do this, right? Let's just bring it across. So sagging would look like that. And if you sag, nothing for free, it pulls on this end here. It goes down, so it pulls on that side. So let's shorten this one up. Let's move the sagging over. So let's move it over to, well, let's move it over to there. And let's move this down to here. And let's bring this back in plane. Well, to have an open crack like that, and you're bound, so it didn't slide laterally. It didn't just fall over laterally. That doesn't represent that way anyway. You'd have to have some sagging in this deck here between the spans. And that's also going to pull here on there. And remember I did that model I made up, and I used staples, and I used the metal, and I used the plywood, and I showed you how, not for free, I can't deflect the middle without pulling on the heads of the rest. Well, just like this. So the sagging would have a pulling effect on any column that was over here. It would have a stress on the head. Okay, so that would happen, and this would pull in this direction, right? So it's going to pull as it sags down. It's shifting, it's pulling, and now this is the major one here because it shifted so much that it created a full crack. The only way to do that is we must have an anchored system here that's stronger than the pulling side. So this side over here is anchored stronger on this side to wherever it's anchored to than this side is pulling. And that's when we get our opening now. So it now opens up. The steel has been reamed a bit. The concrete's been reamed to some degree now at this point. No choice, it's been reamed to some degree. It's lost some of its strength. This now becomes, you know, it might still be holding up. It might be for free a bit, or it might be some cracked tiles on top of here. Presented as some cracked tiles. But this is an interesting little beast here. This one, this full level one, because this puts this crack puts the stirrups and this design in tension. It puts it in a working capacity, but it shows it still had more stress in it because it was going to fracture again. This is the path of that crack. This is the way it wants to keep going. It was up. Let's see if I get this right. So. Hold on, give me a second. Again, I think this is the rotation crack, and I think this is spalling on this side. If I really work on this detail here and say this is wider, I think that what happened is, if I could see it, but if I trust his sketch, I would say that this is wider over on this side because this rotated clockwise. So, you know, the clockwise rotation. Yeah, really? Clockwise rotation. That caused a compressive moment on this side. It spalled the concrete out. It gave us the wider opening. That also created a tension side over here, which cracked the concrete. It split it, and it split it across like that. That's ×2, but it only made it this far on this one. Now, he's got 1, 2, 3 pieces of steel. We know that to be inside those darn BMA type details. We know this design is to be in there. These stirrups are now keeping this up, help supporting this. This has a load bearing. Now this becomes more stressed. Actually, it's going back into pulling on this even more now. So this is being, so this is being pulled now by this guy because it's not acting in a well, let's pull it. Let me do a little more direct for you. It's being pulled by this. I want to call it a stirrup. Stirrups normally go up and fully around. These are not up and fully around. They're up and they're made like heads. So their intent is to also be load bearing for the deck around it. But their intent has changed. Their intent has changed. Their service has changed to be something else now because of these full cracks. I know I'm probably losing a lot of you on that. I'm going to stop with that because I might have to demo this. I might be losing you. I might be losing a lot of engineers on that one too. So initially this was support on a side loading supported on a column. Okay, so this is supported on a column. All right, so that's a column like that, and here's the heads coming up out of it, the deck supporting on top of it. Plain and simple. That's the column. I know it looks like no columns to it, but it's side mounted onto a column. All right, so it's side mounted onto a column. When we're side mounted on top of this column, this one, or hell, it could be side mounted. You know, this BMA could be side mounted here and that would be even with level with the deck before they then somehow, I don't know how they do the elevation change there. Maybe that's their slab drop. They do that slab drop detail. Maybe here and here, so I'll be able to, I can just, maybe I can just eliminate them, but I really can't in my process of thinking. So so it would be here, here, or here. Since he did the probe sample right about there, and he opened up the box here, I'm leaning towards that it's this one here that needed a structural support, that this is the one. And lo and behold, it turns out to be M again. Turns out to be M again. Everything just points to M as a WTF, you know? Everything does. Look at it's a different configuration. I don't know if that's true world, if they've made it that configuration, but you can see it's turned laterally this way and the others are the other way. Oh, all right, guys. Love you all. Please, I know it's torture. Watch the content, the commercials. Please comment about your commercials. I want to, I'm trying to learn something here, the algorithm. We're going to learn together on that. Please comment about Lowe's or Home Depot, and also PC and Mac. That PC and Mac thing is interesting. I have something side action going on that. I'll give it away after we do many comments. I don't want to give up the bias, give you confirmation bias the wrong way in one way. So just tell me your commercials, but tell me whether you're a PC or Mac person, Lowe's and the Home Depot. And so far, most people appear to be, and I'll give that up already, Lowe's. Seems like Lowe's is stronger. A lot of people would just say they go to Home Depot because it's further, it's closer. But that's interesting. It doesn't seem like, and Home Depot has most of the market value, don't they? They do. They have a huge market value compared to Lowe's. I looked that up some time ago. All right. Maybe I can get Lowe's to sponsor me. Let's see what's up. Need some sponsorship with all these hundreds of hours I put into. It appears every week now on this content. And I'm in thousands of hours into this structure. Time for me to hit the rack. I'll load this up. Well, I guess you'll be watching tomorrow. Take care. Love you all. Thanks for your time. And really appreciate your donations. They're not unappreciated. I am going to first have to go to a new computer, though, before I even go to software. And it looks like I might have to stick with the Mac, which I didn't really want to do because I think I can get a lot more bang for your buck out of PC, can't we? But a lot of you guys know Macs, they're just so reliable. Darn it. Okay, bye. I might start with memory first. See if I can up the memory in this little thing. I keep getting my video incident. I'm going to end it, but my videos keep crashing because of lack of memory. So I think I might order memory tonight.